One thing that I have learned is that two things can be true. For example, the process might be hard while the ending is beautiful. And in so many instances, when words have evaded me, art has saved me. I was 7 years old, sitting on the stairs of my childhood home, and my mom was next to me with tears running down her face. But I wasn't listening to the words that she was saying. I was focused on the feeling of my dog's fur tickling my fingertips. The words that she was saying that I was not hearing were telling me that my dad would not be coming home, and that I could never see him again. The next day, I went to the police station, something I don't wish upon any small child. They put me in a small room with a whiteboard and a woman that I found incredibly annoying. She asked me the same questions over and over, and I gave her the same answers over and over. So to show my unwillingness to engage with her, I started drawing on the whiteboard with a black Expo marker. These are memories I wish to forget and feelings that I'll always remember. The day my dad was arrested, my sister and I had the day off of school. We were too young to be left home alone, so when my mom had work that day, she called my dad to come watch us. It was then that the past 10 years of my dad sexually abusing my sister came to light. I'd be lying if I said I remembered anything about that day. When you're 7 years old, your mind and your body aren't meant to process something so inhumane. After my mom became aware of this abuse, she immediately came and protected us, just as she has done her best to do every day since. After that, we lost what felt like everything. We lost my grandpa and my aunt around that same time, and I lost myself. It felt like I was a completely different person. Like one day I was an innocent child, and the next, I had to grow up. My mom was working 4 jobs to try and sustain us kids, and we went back to school. We were slowly establishing our new normal. Because of the move, I had to go to a new elementary school, and I started making new friends. Until I had to tell them why I didn't have a dad at home. And then the next day, my friend came back to school telling me that she couldn't be friends with me anymore because her parents weren't comfortable with what my dad had done. He was behind bars, and yet I felt like I was the criminal. Like I was the one who tore my family apart. I was furious at everything and everyone around me, and I projected my rage onto the ones that I loved with all my heart. I tore my room apart, I yelled, I was violent. It got to the point that my mom put me in counseling at my school. So every day during lunch, I would sit with my school counselor. There was no rapport between me and her, so instead I colored. I drew my drawings and I colored in coloring books, and I poured my feelings onto the paper in front of me. I felt like I could finally process the turmoil inside, the confusion and the sadness. And in turn, I learned that my rage came from my sadness, and my sadness came from the guilt over the death of my childhood. This is how and when I learned to draw, to express myself through art rather than words. Because just as words can form sentences, each artistic stroke, when placed among others, can tell the story of life. I can tell you that I have depression, but that's different for everyone. So I would rather paint you a picture of my feelings, the feelings of deep-rooted sadness and guilt of something that was in no way my fault. We as humans are artistic beings. In any society since the dawn of civilization, there has been artists. From architects to poets to painters, humans need art. And although you may have never considered this before, we ourselves are art. The process of painting is messy and uncoordinated. Splashes of paint and graphite smeared on our canvas of skin. It's not always a pretty time. It can be frustrating and it can be tearful. We might want to quit, give up painting, and toss away our canvas. But we keep going. We power through the pain, and once we're done, we can let ourselves be proud. The eyes might be crooked, and the nose might be hooked. We might have a gap in our smile, but it's ours. My junior year, I was working on a painting for my AP art class, a hot pink skull. It was simple, just on a white background, and that was supposed to be it, quick and easy. But then, My art teacher walked over to me with a giant canvas, larger than anything I'd ever worked on. She had me cut out my skull and lay it on this unfinished work. There was already paint and paper layered, so I built off the foundation that I had. I started with a washover in gray and cut out in the old anatomy textbook, papers and yarn. I tore out photos from my sketchbook and layered them on. I grabbed oil pastel and Sharpie and drew faces and scrawled nonsensical notes wherever I could reach. What started as a simple skull, a minimalist piece, ended up with me pouring the entirety of who I am into it. This piece that was supposed to be a quick work for my sustained investigation ended up taking me 2 months and was submitted to the state art show. My art has given me opportunities I never could have imagined. My art put me on this stage today. 10 years. That's how long it took for me to not only tell my story, but to feel it too. So I urge you to express yourself. This doesn't have to be through painting or drawing. This could be through the books you read, the movies you watch, the clothes you wear, the music you listen to. Everyone is born an artist. Life itself is art. Embrace it. The art piece that began with a single skull that grew into so much more because of the encouragement of my teacher ended up winning me first place among all mixed media artists in the state of South Dakota. Yet perhaps the real win was the way art allowed me to portray and work through my own trauma while validating beauty not only within an art piece, but within me.